more than 25 years experience in the industry. He's a human resource professional, and currently he's the director of Morris Foods Limited. And talking about his previous experience as an HR person, so very rarely you find an HR person getting into a business, but he's one of those guys. And now the trend has started for HR people to explore business, and they're becoming CEOs and yeah, heading businesses. And here is one such person, and he has spent his entire life, major part of his life, in HR. And he has headed or he has been into leadership positions in HR at numerous organizations. Vodafone Idea, predominantly the Aditya Birla Group, and there is Jindal Steels and Escotel Mobile Communications, where he has also worked with. And his area of expertise has been, talent acquisition, talent management, and managing employee relations, and driving change and performance. So what exactly, how to get performance? So that has been his area. And today, as he was just rightly discussing, he's going to share with us about his experience of being in the industry. He's interacted with a number of people, and as an HR person, all I can say is one of the things which you're looking at is talent. And how do you get talent which is industry ready? So when you're hiring talent from the market, especially the freshers, and whether they are graduate trainees or management trainees, how do you get them? Training them becomes a big challenge. And generally, the graduate training, management training programs are year-long programs where they are rotated amongst the various departments, in an organization, and then they sort of get ready. So if you're hiring someone today, he or she is going to be ready after 1 year. So how do you get that fast? What is it that we as individuals can do, that looking at the demands of the industry, how can we be industry ready, and what are the areas which we should work on? So I welcome Uttam, Sahay, for this session on being industry ready. So over to you, Uttam.
Okay, thank you very much, Manish. So it is a pleasure interacting with all of you. And before I start, happy Holi to all of you, because today also certain part of India is celebrating Holi. So wish you a very happy Holi to all of you. Okay. So as rightly said by Manish, that today's topic I'll be talking around that how one can become industry ready. So I would like to make my discussions very simple, without any putting management jargons. And so I'll be sharing all of you whatever experience I had with people while I have visited various campuses for recruitment, young graduates. And how did I feel, and where did I find the gaps are, and where, as a consultant or as a HR person, if I have been given this opportunity to plug those gaps, what would I do, or what would I can advise to these set of people, so that they can bridge these gaps and be industry ready. So why industry ready? The first thing which comes to my mind is why industry ready. To make it very simple, there are two basic reasons from what I personally see is that one is to get a gainful employment, because you have spent so many years of rigorous effort, time, money, energy that you have put to get some qualification, so that you should get a gainful engagement. So that is where you should be ready. And the second thing which I see, that you should get faster assimilated to the industry in which you are going to work. And that is where the biggest challenge of the young graduate comes into force, because in my experience, 25 years of experience, I have seen many people whom we have recruited through campus, or any young graduate who have entered the industry laterally. We have seen their rate of attrition is very high, because they did not find themselves first liking the job, that they thought that this is not the way they wanted to take on their life and the career, and they just struggle to survive, and then finally one time the time comes that they leave. So the 2 points, that you should get a entry to an industry, and you should be continuing in that. So that is where you should be ready for the industry. So I will develop this going forward. But before I move, I should give you some numbers that why people should be more industry ready. I have few data which I am going to share with you that an employability solution company surveyed about 60,000 graduates pan India, and then they found that 47% of Indian graduates are unemployable. You just see, out of 60,000 people, about 35,000 people are not employable, though they are graduates, but they cannot be employed. So that is the first number that I'm going to give you. One of the data published in Economic Times in 2018, which even share this number much lower. And the same thing goes with India Skills Report 2019, that MBA students and engineering students, about 35 to 36% engineering and MBA graduates are only employable. Our youth employment rate is currently hovering out about 30%. And the highest unemployment rate is for graduates and higher, that is about 19 to 20%. It is important to note that in the current industry where Manish was talking, that where is the industry looking like. So some data which I have found from sources are that the hiring intent of the organization that engineering graduates are about 30%. If you have to hire 100 people, then you see at least 30% of hiring intent goes in favor of engineers. So the hiring intent for engineers are higher than graduates and management graduates. And one interesting thing that we have to see here, that the employable talent, in which I think Manish also talked about this in his introduction, that whatever the employable talent that we have available has grown to 46.2% from 34% in 2014. So there also we see about 12%. So what we are going to see here is that the context is that India as a country has huge population who can be employed, gainfully employed. But the truth on the other side, the industry is not, even though they have opportunities, but they are not finding right people to be employed. If I give you a few examples, that though it will be not so relevant, but if you see how our judicial system is being managed, still we have about 30% positions of judges are vacant, because of so many reasons. We are not finding right having people with right skill sets to chair this work, because you just understand the role of a judge that he needs to perform. So just an example that India growth story is very huge. We are growing in a very fast rate, but to manage that rate, we do not have right type of people at right time, right place, with right skill sets. And the focus is more on academic institutions to produce the employable talent. So that is where my first feedback to the institutes is that instead of generating or giving only graduates, let us put focus on preparing them as an employable graduate, which can be employed in any industry. Okay. So the second section of my talk is that why we are finding limited opportunities. The first thing is, as a business manager also, I see that resources are scarce, and we have to manage our top line and bottom line. So the first constraint is that we have to optimize resources. So the way we have to optimize other resources, human resources are also needs to be optimized. And the two important things that are being used to optimize human resources is automation and digitization. So another important factor that is playing a big role is the automation. The third important aspect of why we are not finding enough job is that the rate of retention is very high. because the outside world is not very sure, not very secure, as we normally use, that is VUCA world outside. So people are not leaving the organization so often. So the rate of retention is very high. So you're not getting upward movement, so that you get vacancies, and then you get opportunities to recruit people. The another thing is, which is very specific to young people, is that companies are withdrawing their resources from putting inputs on training and development. So there are very limited efforts now being put by companies to put efforts on developing people, because they have already having experienced people in their workforce. Okay. Secondly, you are looking for experienced people to join, because there are a lot of experienced people available in the market, and post COVID you have seen lot of retrenchment which has happened, lot of layoffs have happened, and good resources, experienced resources are readily available at a very lower cost. So that is also one of the important criteria why we are not getting enough vacancies in good companies. And another important thing that has come up recently, which I have seen recently going up, is the idea of returnship. You must have seen the concept or idea of internship, where young people are getting oriented or inducted to industries as interns. But over last 2 years, I have seen that people who have already worked and have gone to the sabbaticals and now are coming back to work. So that is the new concept of returnship. And apart from that, you see that a lot of project-based assignments are also coming. So a lot of companies are hiring experts and giving them project-based assignment, which is short-term, which is not in permanent in nature, and that is how they are getting their job done. So this all together constitutes a ecosystem which is not very encouraging for generating a lot of employment opportunities, right? And if I have to add something more into this, which actually adds this, is that the quality of education that we are now getting in the educational system, and the way engineering colleges and management colleges are mushrooming across every nook and corner of India, where the quality is not that important, where number is important, right? So there also a lot of people are getting graduated through either engineering or MBA or any other discipline. They are also adding into the workforce, though they are educated, but they are not employable. So this is a scenario on which I'm going to give you some tips through my own experience, that how you can become industry ready. The first tip, before I start, I normally introduce my discussion on giving you a mirror exercise. Whenever I interact with students talking about being industry ready, I normally give them an exercise which is called mirror exercise. So what is a mirror exercise? Mirror exercise is that whenever you go out, so normally we have a tendency that to just see whether I am properly dressed as per the occasions that we are going for. And normally, where do you see this? In everywhere, in your house, you are everywhere you see mirror placed. But two very important place where I have observed, and from there I have picked up this, is if you are visiting any senior police or army officers, before you enter, you find a big mirror in front, in outside their office. And whenever you enter, you have to just see yourself that whether you are properly attired, ready or not to meet that higher officer. So what does it say? That before you are entering into a place, any place, whether it is an office, whether it is a temple, whether it is a party, anywhere, so you have to be properly attired. Okay, you need to be properly attired. So can you be Can you see yourself in a mirror and say that you are industry ready? So this is a question that you should always ask before you move out for any particular uh, job assignment, say for example, or looking forward to your dream job. So are you ready for that? So the way you keep yourself ready to attend any function and you see through a mirror that you are properly attired, dressed, are you ready for that particular job? And there you will get your answer that are you ready or not. So the first tip to people normally I give to the student is identify your choice of industry. Normally what I have seen is that whenever I go to campus interviews, the campus placement officer gives you a list, and as a recruiter also I ask that give me the top 10 or top 15 top 20 people whose scores are high. So I also do not know whether their interests are there into my joining into my industry or not. So I just my aim is that whoever is good in academic record, whose CGPA is high, whose percentage is high, let me hire them. But I'm not sure whether that particular person is ready for my industry or not. So this is a suggestion for myself to that industry, that particular college and that particular industry, that you have to find your choice of industry, that whether you would like to work for that industry or not. That is the first question that normally I give advice to. Then you should know that what type of opportunities exist in that company. The first thing is that you should know what type of organization that you want to work for. The second thing is that what type of opportunities that exist in that company. The third thing is that you should know that what skills that you require. So please remember my initial where I am talking about assimilating that particular candidate fast to the industry. If the person already knows that this is the industry I want to work, this is the type of job that exists in that company, and this is the skill set that I require to perform in that company, his retention and his assimilation to that industry will be much, much faster. So that is the pre-work that that person needs to do. The fourth thing is that to have a skill gap assessment. That, for example, suppose a company, a IT company needs one type of language to work on, and you do not have that language, you do not know that language, probably this is the opportunity that you should learn that language, so that whenever that company comes for a campus interview, you should be ready for that. And the same input is given to the academic counselor or a placement coordinator, that you should encourage during the curriculum, during the course, you should encourage the students to come out with their choice of industries. That this is the choice, and then what will happen, that then you will get a set of people, that these are the set of, suppose 100 people, 20, 30, 40 people look for this type of institutes, and the campus placement cell will approach to those particular industries, to be very specific, that our students possess this type of skills and they aspire to go to this type of industry. So what will happen, your effort will be focused, your efforts will be focused, and your success rate will be much, much high. So that is the first input that I normally give to any young a group of people who are just passing out from the institute, that look for your choice of industry. Now the second thing is how would you connect to this industry? That is very, very important. You know that this is where I want to work, but how do I know about that industry? In this world where internet is freely available and the entire world has become a global village, through internet you can come to know that what type of conferences and meetings and webinars, seminars are being organized on that particular topic. The moment you come to know that this is the topic on which seminars, webinars are being organized, if you join there, you will come to know like-minded people. So you will get to know, you will have a lot of networking opportunities. So if I have to give you my example where the where online session was not there, we used to attend offline conferences. So that was one topic, and suppose that was the one topic on HR or something. So then we go there, and then what happens normally? What we meet a lot of HR professionals there, and there are a lot of open sessions also where you can go, and then what happens normally? Practically, people exchange their visiting cards. And during coffee break, lunch break, and evening snacks break, you get to know with some people whom you are talking to, and then the like-minded people, like experience, like companies, similar companies of your. So you develop a network, and that probably will be a bit limited to say 100 people, but through social networking or through professional networking site through LinkedIn, you can connect to n number of like-minded people. So if you come to know that type of people, then you can go to their corporate websites, उनका वेब पेज जा सकते हैं, फिर वेब पेज पे जाके देखिए कौन से किस तरह के इवेंट हो रही हैं, किस तरह के लोग वहाँ पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं. So what actually happens that you get actually acclimatized to that type of culture, environment, people, skills, roles, and then over a period of time that you start. I can give you few very real life example where one of my students, yes, I can say him as a student where he was being mentored by me in one of the colleges. He found his job through social networking site. What actually happened that he was interacting with a very senior guy of that company, a mid-level manager of that company in with some of his project reports, and he was working with him, right? And incidentally, what happened that a similar type of role and project came up in that organization. So instead of moving to the HR for the proper sourcing activity, he just forwarded my student's resume to the HR and said that I know this guy, and he could be the right fit for the job because I know him, and he's worked with me in some project, and I know him, and we have met him in. So there was a formal process happened, and then he was interviewed by the HR, and he got the job. So he did not have to go through any campus placement process just because of social networking and acquaintance to that particular industry and that particular person. He got that opportunity. So what I'm trying to say is that there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of where you can connect to the industry. So you can use LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a very, very powerful tool, and there are a lot of web pages, websites developed by the companies. You can go to their career pages, find out that what type of jobs, what type of skill sets. So this is prior to you being ready for industry. So once you find your dream company, then you can know what type of skill sets are required, what type of people they hire, and then you start working on that, connecting with those type of people from those industries, and building the network, and that will make your life easier. And trust me, whenever I have interacted in the campus interviews, we never used to ask that the questions related to the subject, because we know that these people have scored very high. They must be aware of their subject knowledge must be very good. The point that whenever what the discussion which actually help us to select people is that their project assignments, and from there what did they learn. So that is where the distinction we used to make, and apart from that, what additionally have you done. So we know you are good in academics, what additionally have you done. So iske alawa aur kya. So that is where we could find right people. Then another thing, another input that I gave to young graduates is that get involved in part-time assignments. Get involved in part-time assignments because it could be freelancing, it could be teaching, it could be content writing, it could be blogging, it could be helping in somebody in research, in field study, even event management, you know. But you have to keep balance with your studies. It is not that you, at the cost of your studies, you get yourself fully involved into that part-time assignments. Okay. So what happened actually? This actually gives you some practical assignments, and some practical knowledge that how actually industry works, because there is a difference between academics world and the industry. So what the effort is to bridge that. So what you are doing actually in getting part-time assignment is bridging the gap. You are actually building a bridge between your academics to the real-time industries. So that is where these assignments will help you to understand what type of works assignments are being done in any industry. Third is help someone to do some job without any remuneration. Don't ask. So let me give you an example. I know few of my people, because in one of the project that I was doing, uh, uh, there was the issue of statutory compliance. So as you know that a lot of MSME and small scale businesses are very poor in statutory compliance. Okay. And normally what happens that they do not want to hire anybody, because the moment you hire someone, obviously it is going to add some resources and money into your business. So what I have suggested, I have taken 5 of my young management trainees, and what I did, I asked them to visit to one of the industrial area. Go to one of the industrial area, right? And then randomly visit to those industries, those small units. Go there and speak to their managers. So we have the plant manager and say baat karo, and then you try to help them into understand the importance of statutory compliance and how it is going to benefit them, and how it is going to benefit the employees of the organization. And I told them that you at least try to convince them, at least 5 out of whatever you visited, at least you convince 5 of them, and implement the statutory compliance framework in those particular industries without cost. So don't charge anything from them. Just visit them, convince them, and then introduce the ecosystem of statutory compliance. So initially, a few of the places they had to get disappointed, so they did not get any favorable remark. But finally, after scouting about 10 days, they could get about 5-6 small industries who were ready, who were actually willing to do, but they were not having the right type of knowledge, skills to do this, because they always be afraid that this is an area where if you go, you will be end up into a lot of inspection and a lot of other things that that normally what happens, that a lot of people start visiting and then compliance report, and then something which is not required should happen. So the first thing that they did, that they said that it is now open and transparent, nobody will disturb you, but it is good for your employees and for you also. So the first level of conviction that happened, and then finally, in next 3 months, they could create a framework for them, and where they have started statutory compliance framework for these companies. So in this entire process, what happened? This entire process, a person without joining any organization got to know the complete framework of statutory compliance for any organization. So for me as a HR manager or as a HR head, once I'm going to hire a person from any academic institutes, and if I find any person who has already done statutory compliance in some of the organization, for me it will be very easy to hire that person. So this is where I see that this type of assignments, networking, you're deciding on your choice of industry, knowing the people, knowing the job in advance will help you to get the right job, and there that will lead to you being continuing in the job, and the company will not lose the right talent which they have hired. The next important thing is, which I personally see, is play a game. You should definitely play a game, because whatever I have seen, I have met a lot of people. I could see that people in this institute, the infrastructure is very good for playing, but people do not play. So I've insisted that at least you should follow one game and play one game. Why? The first important thing that by playing a game you get is that you know how to strategize. How does a strategy comes into play? The second important thing that you learn is that you learn from your mistakes. You know, if you've done some mistakes in the game, how to correct those mistakes. Third is, more important, what I have seen is the power of anticipation. Third important learning which I see from playing a game is that you anticipate that what is going to happen next. And obviously, as a management graduate or engineering graduate, you should be ready with your plan B. And the last thing which is very commonly said to all people, that you learn the art of teamwork and camaraderie, because this is where you get challenged once you join any industry. Because where do you face the challenge? Because in that particular industry, people from different walk of life, different culture, different societies, different places start working. So at times for a new person, it becomes very difficult how to collaborate, how to become a team member. So if you have played something in your life, then you are actually, I think it will be slightly easy for you to assimilate, because you know the nuances of playing teamwork, and then that will help you to get yourself assimilated fast. And the last thing which I usually suggest to young graduates is that to improve upon your soft skills and to list them, because again, that is coming from my own experience, that I have seen a lot of young graduates with good, excellent academic records not doing good in aptitude tests, group discussions, and interviews, though they were having very excellent academic records, but they miserably failed in group discussions and interviews and aptitude tests. Right. So what I normally suggest to the counselors, career counselors also, that you should have some sort of assessment centers, not with the rigorous one, with the graduates, and then help them to find out their opportunity areas. I will not say limitations, but opportunity where they can improve. Right. And few of the soft skills that I have seen that they should work on is listening skills. Normally, what I have seen is people do not listen, because at this age, at this when you are graduating from a good institute, you have a fallacy that you know everything. You know everything, and then your capacity to listen is very less. So what I normally tell people, that have built the ability of listening first. So listening abilities needs to be built upon on these young graduates. The other two important skills are critical thinking, and that is situation based. So normally what we give them some situation, and then we see that how you are evaluating that situation and how are you coming up with solutions. Your body language plays a very important role. How you are responding, what are your eye contact, so that actually shows how confident are you when you are interacting with people from the industry. That is important. Your achievement motivation should be high. Whatever you have done, you should talk very positive about your achievements, because normally what I have seen that the placement cell normally help you to prepare your biodata. I give you a few examples where people have written so many things in their biodatas, and once we ask them related to those achievements, they were not able to tell anything. So that actually creates a very wrong impression to the industry people who are visiting your institutes. Okay, so your achievement motivation should be high. Your goal orientation should be high at initial stages and stages of career. Goal orientation should be very high. You should be thinking. You should have corporate etiquettes, how to dress during the corporate. And two important things that you cannot ignore is at least speak good and correct English. You should speak good and correct English, and some basic computing awareness knowledge that you should have. So this is what normally I suggest to the candidates or the young graduates of the institute. Now, before I conclude, I will give you some more data and then how whatever I've said is playing an important role in getting employment. And so I've gathered some data from hiring sources. So normally there are 4 or 5 types of hiring sources. One is job portal, then professional networking, internal references, company's website, and campus hiring. Correct. So while the job portal still remains higher, about 20-21% people are getting hired through job portals. So, but that is limited only for people who are experienced. Okay. But whatever I have said, it is through networking also. Even if you're experienced, you can. If you use these tools properly, you can get your job of your liking. But professional networks gives you 15% of the strike rate of professional network is 15%. Internal references is 14%, and company's website is 10%. So the way I was talking that you have to find your choice of industry. So the job opportunities you will find from the website of that particular company, and you know what type of job they are and what type of skills that you require and how you can bridge that skill gaps, and then how can you be very relevant to those companies. That is one. Second, internal references. I've given you example that if you work with people related to your industries, they will give you references. They will give you references so that your appointment your appointment will be easier. And professional networks, I've already given you examples that people are getting help by through professional networks and get employment very soon. And that is very, very useful for any people who are young, because they do not have any biases or prejudices. They're very young. They're free to connect to any people. So these professional network sites are helping these young graduates very much. And parallelly, if you work on your skill gaps and do some project-based assignments, right? Probably these will all make together help you to become industry ready, and your chances of getting hired by any industry will be higher. I'm not saying that this will guarantee you success in whenever you apply or whenever you go for a campus recruitment, but definitely this is going to help you, and your chances of getting selected will be higher than other candidates if you pre-prepare yourself. Okay. So So now again, ask this question to people that are you industry ready? And again, the mirror comes in place of you, and then you see yourself before going for any campus. Are you industry ready? So where the question that you need to answer that is that industry or the company or is of your interest? That is one. So the first checklist is that is the real industry or the dream company that you are working for. If it is not, please do not go. Otherwise, it will create a very negative because you will not enjoy and you will not be selected. So that is one. Second, have you studied what type of jobs or skill set that they require? So if you know them, have you worked on them? Have you worked on them? If you work them, then you go, your success rate will be higher. So this is how the mirror will help you to answer these questions, and your rate of success will be higher. And as an action planning to people, what I normally suggest, a very simple tool, that what you should start doing, what you should stop doing, and what you should continue doing. So having identified your type of industry, the competencies that are required, the role that you are looking for, and what efforts are you making. So if you are doing something which is relevant to that industry, continue doing that. If you're not doing, if you need to do something new, start doing that. And if you're doing something which is not relevant to that industry, stop that. So if you do all these things, basic things in your day-to-day practice, and if you pick up any one or two things every day, practice it, probably your rate to probably the rate of success to your dream company will be higher. So the suggestions which I normally give to the placement committees or the dean academics is that if you can build these elements, whatever I have discussed, because what I am giving is through my practical experience. If you can build these elements into your curriculum, that if you can create some atmosphere where a student can actually tell that this is where I would like to go and this is the type of industry that I would like to work. So the placement committee can give you that this is the roles available in this type of industry, these are the skills that they need, and then probably the same person or so the group of people can be put into some sort of small assessment centers where they can come to know that this is the skill gap that they have, and then the placement companies parallelly help them to build those competencies. Let me give you my own personal niece example. She is studying in IIT and she's been selected in that Salesforce. And you won't believe that even studying in IIT, she has to do a 3-month parallel course to learn a language. She's still in the final year of her exams, and during her vacation, she had to do 3-month course. Apart from studying in regular classes, she had to do 3-month course to learn a different language. And now she has been placed with Salesforce. So I am talking of A category, A plus category institutes where the students are finding time to learn something different, or in addition to what which is being taught in the classroom. The world outside is not that easy, and the rate of unemployment going in India and the type of employment opportunities available is very difficult to get now. And on the other hand, if both students and the academic institutes gives importance to building right skills instead of just giving diplomas and degrees, if they can design their curriculum which is relevant to the industry, I think India is going to be the source of quality manpower, not only for India but for the globe also. So with this, I would like to conclude my discussions, and I'm open for any question. Thank you very much.